there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 69. I'm back and I'm ready to share about my knitting. Everything I'll talk about today is down below in the description box, and I'll have links and descriptions of everything that I'm chatting about today. So this YouTube channel is a space where I like to share about my knitting and the things that I'm working on. My full-time role in life is being a professor and a mom, and this YouTube channel is like a hobby, a fun thing, a space to share about my making. And I've missed you and I'm back and I'm gonna be back. If you want to know where I've been for the past 2 months, stay around to the personal section and I'll share. But I'm really excited to share about what I've been working on for the past 2 months. And because of the season of life I'm in, all of my finished objects, and I have quite a few, are really small things, like not big sweaters. They're all like socks, hats, kinds of things. And then in the works in progress, I will share about my sweater making and also my dream knitting too. All right, so let's get to it and let's talk about what I've been making. If you're new here, thanks for being here. And if you have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I am really good at starting socks and maybe knitting a single sock and not necessarily always finishing them. But I would say over the past 2 years, one thing that I'm really proud of myself about is I've pulled out those lonely single socks and I have finished some of them. And so that happened in January. In January, I pulled out a sock that was completed. One of these was completed. I don't know which one. And then I finished a second sock. One of these socks I started on Christmas Eve a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Either Christmas of 2023 or Christmas of 2024, like Christmas Eve, I cast this on. This is actually a winter colorway. And I had a lot of fun. And then the next winter, I finished a sock and then I just sat around. And so I've finished 2 socks. So let me tell you about the yarn. The yarn is from Cauldron Fiber Company. And it was a sock set. So it came with 3 minis and then this main skein that's super fun. And it is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, which are really fun for sock knitting. So I did not use a pattern. I just used a recipe I always do, which is, cast down 64 stitches. And what I did is I knit a 2x2 rib, and then I switched to a 3x1 rib. And then I integrated in these stripes. And you'll notice the stripes are really clean, and kind of like the hack behind that is basically when you're switching your colors, instead of doing the ribbing, which would bring the contrast color kind of like in a purl bump towards you, you just knit one of the rows. And then you return back to your ribbing pattern. So basically I was doing the ribbing, then I knit a full row, then I returned back to this ribbing. And then when I switched back to this color, I knit a full row, and etc. And then I did a heel flap and gusset with a slip stitch part. And I haven't worn them yet. I've been saving them to show them on here. So it feels so good to have finished a pair of socks. And I've been pretty diligent about that. I did a couple pairs last year that were kind of taken from my single sock stash. That's kind of a mouthful. So yeah, I think a long time ago, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, my husband and I made a work in progress like whip parade where we showed all our single socks, and it was around 20. And it's been since then that I've occasionally just drawn one of those out and finished them. So that is really exciting. So that is one work in progress that is done and is a finished object. And I think this is my first finished object of 2026. Okay, So the next finished object requires me to show you a prior finished object. I'll explain. So in 2025, on Thanksgiving Day, normally my family goes to Leavenworth, Washington, but we didn't. We stayed home for the first time in like 4 years. And it was just my family of 3, my husband Kyle, my daughter Matilda, and we just had a cozy day at home. And I knit a hat in a day. And this was right after Sacred Sheep. So I knit this Ovis hat by Caitlin Hunter in a day. And let me share the yarn. I used the Lamb Kid. I bought this at Sacred Sheep. This was the only yarn I purchased at Sacred Sheep. And it's a really special base. It's their Todd base, and it is 65 yak, 35 cashmere. So it's 65% yak and 35% cashmere. They're 50-gram skeins and 150 yards each. And, oh, you can see the prices there. So it is kind of expensive. I saw it in sweaters there, and oh, that would be something fun to save up for, I feel like, because this yarn is so amazing. So yak and cashmere, it's just so amazing and soft, so warm, which brings me to the kind of bummer of it, which is I haven't worn this hat once. Not once. I live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and maybe people watching this are Pacific Northwesters and they're like, it's plenty cold, I'm sure. But I'm like, I grew up in the Midwest, so I'm like Midwest hardy. So I don't know. It just wasn't, it was just too warm. Okay. So I have to tell you a little story about this. So I knit it and it fit my head perfectly. And then I blocked it. And the designer, Caitlin Hunter, in her direction says that she likes to put her hats on a balloon to block them. So I did that, and it stretched out so big. I thought I made the balloon the circumference of my head, but I don't know. I must not have. And I have a 21-inch circumference. And so I thought I did that, but wow, the hat ended up being way too big for me. And a weird shape. Let me know if you've tried blocking your hats on a balloon. It was not it for me. I will never do it again. It just, because a balloon kind of goes out like that, and that's not how my head goes. So yeah, it just kind of ruined the hat. And I didn't know what to do. And so I blocked it again, and it was still too big. At this point, I had like stretched it out. So I did something that maybe you should like never do, which is I put it in the dryer and shrunk it. I did. I put it in the dryer and shrunk it. And now it fits again. It fits a little snugger than it originally did. So I liked it in its original state before I blocked it. Blocking made it huge. Like, I think I had like 4 inches of positive ease. It was not going to work unless I gave it to somebody with a large head. Which I think I should have done, actually, because I've never worn it. Okay, I'm going to take my clip out so I can show it to you. And I really love the pattern. I don't know, it's even putting it on now, I'm like, this thing is just heating up right away. It is maybe the warmest hat ever. So it would be so good if I skied, but I don't go skiing. We keep wanting to, but I don't. But yeah, like it hasn't snowed here once where I live, and it's been a very, very mild winter. Yeah, so this would be great if I went back to the Midwest again or went skiing, which is why I've held on to it. But I just love this sheep pattern and would love to make the sweater about this. Okay, so obviously like this hat's fun. Oh, and the other fun thing is I met a woman, Sharon. I don't know if you're watching this, Sharon, hi. In line at Sacred Sheep. She was like, I watch your podcast. And I was at Sacred Sheep by myself. And so we started like hanging out, and yeah, so the second day I went back with my friend Sarah, who's a math professor. So we like math and yarn together. So that's fun. So Sarah met Sharon, and the 3 of us were chatting, and we ended up buying a kit at Lamb Kid. And I feel like it was nice to buy this kit because it's like, it was expensive, but it's like a hat, and I knit it right away. So it's not lingering in my collection. I just knit it right away. Okay, what does this have to do with my next finished object? Clearly this yarn is precious. I met some friends and knit this hat with some friends. And then it's expensive yarn. Like in US dollars, it was $34 a skein. So, I mean, I spent $68 on this yarn. So it's precious yarn. Oh, I should tell you the colors too. So I loved the names of the colors too, because my grandmother's name was Gertrude and this pink color is Gertie. So I thought that was really fun. And the brown color is Bittersweet. Okay, so it was precious yarn. So I had little bits left over and I weighed what I had left over and I was like, I'm going to make a tiny scarf. And I've made several Sophie scarves and I love them. This is a little tiny scarf that is one of my designs called the little garter scarf. I also have made 2 of these. I love them. But I wanted something different. And I suppose I could have gone on Ravelry and looked for a pattern. I ended up kind of like self-drafting my own, and I'll put it on for you. I wrote it up, but I've just, you know, I've been kind of absent from the internet and I just haven't had a time to do it. But yeah, so I wanted to just use up all of my yarn. So I basically knit one color and then the next color. And I think I used more of this brown than the pink. So I used the brown first. I had this vision that I've wanted a half and half little scarf. I actually have a second design idea that's kind of half and half like this for a larger shawl too. And I just think that this is really sweet and cute and I love it. I have not taken any finished object photos of any of these. That's how busy I've been. I'll talk about it in the personal section, but I haven't had, not even on Instagram, any of this. I just love this. I think it's so cute. I probably should take a picture of this today. Like, it looks really cute with this outfit. Maybe I'll just leave this on instead of the other one. I have a math event tonight and I wanted to wear a fun little scarf with my dress. So, oh, this is really great for this time of year. This color, this is La Sagrada Familia from Explore Knit Company. And I just think it's so great in springtime, but okay. How fun is this? So this turned out exactly what I wanted. I wanted a scarf that was like stockinette, not garter, because the Sophie scarf's garter. So I wanted it stockinette because I wanted it to have a clean color change like this. You can do that with garter, but it would have an unclean edge on like one of the sides, which technically this does too, but I wanted it stockinette like this. And I also wanted it to be like not just for your neck, but also something you could put on your purse. So that's why it's got this skinny, like little bag. Well, you know, the bag charms are so popular. And I was just thinking like a little bag bow. So this can be a little purse bow too. So I initially thought I wanted to have it reversible. I was going back and forth of what side do I want? Do I want this side like this? But I also like the way that this side turned out too. And I had to make the decision at the color change and I ended up deciding to stick with my original dream of a stockinette little scarf. So I will say the Todd is too warm for a hat for me. I really think it is, but it's not too warm for a scarf. Like this feels so lovely. So I think I'll wear this today. Okay, so finished a pair of socks. Then I did this and wrote it up. So I don't know if you think I should test it. Let me know. I think that if I tested it, I've been conflicted because this yarn's so expensive. So to use the Todd, it's like you would need to make 2 scarves to get but you could also do something like this where you knit a hat and then a scarf or substitute with something else. I think this yarn is sport weight or DK. I should know. I think like it might be sport. But I think that maybe the hat might have been a DK pattern. I will clarify this all below in the description box because I'm unsure right now. I'm just showing what I've made. Okay. So, showed my socks, the hat, the scarf. there's another hat. There's another hat. Actually, there's two more hats. The last video that I recorded on this channel was my work in progress Make 9. So my WIP Make 9 board for 2026. I did this last year and I wanted to do it again, which is, I think, about 9 works in progress that I have. And I picked 9 of them that I would like to work on or finish this year in 2026. I did it last year and it was such a positive thing for me. I wanted to do it again. On my WIP Make 9 board was a Musselburgh hat that I had started for my husband, Kyle. And end of January, I decided to pull that out and try to finish it for him for Valentine's Day. And I did, which was super fun. Though I finished it in time for Valentine's Day, he hasn't worn it yet because it just hasn't been that cold here. Okay, let me share the hat and the yarn. So I used 2 yarns from Fangirl Fibers. And one of them is a colorway called Daggertail Dragon, and then the other one is Shadow Daddy. If you read the book series Fourth Wing, you'll understand those references. And I had purchased this yarn as part of a Valentine's Day kit 2 years ago, and I didn't know what to do with the yarn. And then last Valentine's Day, around that time, the 3rd book, Onyx Storm, was coming out, and I cast that on at the book release party, and then now I finished it. So it's a long journey, this Musselburgh hat. So this is the Daggertail Dragon colorway, and then this is the Musselburgh hat. I typically knit like a small Musselburgh hat, but this is the large I made for Kyle, and look, it looks fine to me. I could borrow this hat from him. It's very warm, which is why he hasn't worn it yet. Okay, so what I did that was fun is I had these 2 colorways as part of the box, Shadow Daddy and Daggertail Dragon. So I made him a 2-colored Musselburgh hat. But as you can see, this only looks like a 1-color hat. That's because I just don't like the Musselburgh hats that are completely half and half, where the fold, like when you fold the yarn, you fold the hat and you see where the colors fold up. I don't like that. So it's just like a personal preference. So what I did is I did the math about, because we have Musselburgh hats, both Kyle and I already. This is not my first hat I've made. And so I measured it and I did like a 3/4, 1/4 model. So basically what would happen is you could fold it in and have an all blue hat like I showed you. But since I did this ladder half, or this ladder 4th in a different color, I can also switch it up and have kind of a funkier hat where the black is the top of the hat and then the brim is blue, which is a kind of a fun version too. And Kyle's kind of like a low-key classic person, so I wanted to give him an option to wear just a plain all blue hat. I was thinking it will be very likely that he would wear that. So I've just folded it in so you can see there's the black. And then the brim is blue. So this is kind of the funkier, more eclectic hat, which also looks really cool too. So you can wear it like this or all blue. And so that's really, really fun, I think. And I don't know if I mentioned this yarn is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, which is one of my favorite fingering bases. I like it more than the 75-25 just because it's plumper. So I think that's nice for your socks. For a Musselburgh hat, it made it really thick. This hat is thick. I also have not taken any photos of this, and this is not on Instagram or Ravelry yet. I think that's the goal after this podcast is like, I should take some pictures of this stuff. Okay, so you can see a theme here of these tiny little projects, socks, scarf, hats, and there's another hat. There's another hat. So here's what happened and why there's another hat when I'm not even wearing hats. So end of February, or maybe it was mid-February, sometime in February, time is just going by so quickly. Sometime in February, there was a math conference, like a national math conference that I typically go to. And it happened to be in Portland, which is epic because as an academic, sometimes we have these conferences and they're just all over and you got to fly to them. And here it was like nearby, nearly in my hometown. So that was really exciting. So I went to the conference and I had a group of friends, of course, like in community, the people you do research with, but you're also friends with. And my friend Megan, she is a professor at Montana State University, and she loves Portland. And so we did a bunch of fun things, like went to Pip's Donuts, we went to a romance bookstore, just a bunch of fun things. But one of the fun things we did is we went to Starlight Knitting Society and we bought matching yarn. And we decided to knit hats together. And she actually showed this pattern to me. I don't know how it was on my radar. It is the Cold Hearts hat. I love Caitlin Hunter's designs. She has so many that this somehow I missed it. And I actually just recently finished knitting this. And so it's wet. It's blocking. So I'm going to hold up a wet hat for you to see. And then I will share about the yarn. Okay. Here is the wet hat. It's, you know what, when your knitting's wet and it's like floppy. Yeah. Okay. So how cute is this? So we have the exact same hats. Obviously, they probably look a little different because we use Spincycle and it color changes a little different. I also think, also our hats look different because this Cold Hearts hat has two versions of a hat. It has a short hat and a taller hat. And I have to say, the tall is really tall and the short is tall. I won't put this on, but I can just tell this is going to be maybe too big for my head. I even went down a couple needle sizes. I have a small head, which is, I think I maybe should knit the child size. Anyway, let me share about the yarn. It's so cute. Do I have the tags in here? I don't. Let me see if I have the tags. I found the tags. So this is the cream yarn. Skadi. It says, "Hey Mama Wolf" on the back. And it is, there's a lot in German. So I know it's wool. Yeah, it's 100 grams of wool. I actually weighed it and I think it was more than 100 grams. It says here, Skadi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is made from the softest wool in Europe, Merino de Arles, a rare breed. The rare breed takes care of the landscapes in South France. This yarn is so plump and soft. It's a non-superwash wool, and it is just so soft. I just have enjoyed knitting in with it so much. So that's the cream. And then we got, I think that's a DK weight. And this is Spincycle, which is a sport weight, which is obviously a different weight of yarn. But what I find with the Spincycle is it will, when you block it, kind of fit in with the DK or with the sport. So you can pair this with a sport weight yarn or a DK. I think it kind of can work out. This is 100% American wool. It says it is superwash wool. Oh, it's worsted weight what I used. I used a worsted weight. Well, it's about the same size as the DK, to be honest. And the colorway is Always Yours. And I'll show you a little bit of this. It is to this pink and black part, which I think is my least favorite part of the skein, but I like the other bits, like the purple and the pink going. So this was my favorite part of the skein. It's wet, so it's not as vibrant, but this is like pink and purple. Okay, and as I said, the pattern came in a short and a tall. Let me show you the picture again. And the tall is very tall. This is the tall, so it has a whole extra set of leaves here. This, before blocking it, it was tall on me, so it's gonna probably fit me the way a lot of people's talls fit them. There's a picture of Caitlin modeling it, the short, and mine would never fit me this way. You can see it's like above her ear, and like my short one fits me like this. I do want to do a braid like that, but I wanted to wait. I'll show this works in progress because I've started knitting a second one out of the leftover yarn. So I want to see how much yarn is left first before I make a braid. So I did weigh the yarn beforehand. Just kidding. I had 100.1 grams of the cream. I think it was, I guess, the Spincycle I had more of. I ended up with 69.3 grams of the Spincycle, which is quite a bit. I think you're only supposed to have 50 grams. It doesn't say how many grams are typically in that. Okay, so I made quite a few hats this year, or it's the beginning of the year, but for me, that's quite a bit of hats. And when we go to works in progress, you'll see I've started a second hat out of a matching one for Matilda. Yeah, so I think we're ready to switch in works in progress, and I'm really only working on 2 things. A pretty monogamous knitter, which is not like me, but it's just with the busyness and constantly running around here to there, it's been really nice to just have a focused project. And so I'm really only working on 2 things. And one thing is very portable and it gets the most amount of love, which is another Cold Hearts hat. So it comes in a short and a tall, but it also has a child size too. And I'm making the child size for my daughter. I weighed the yarn and as you can see, I have so much cream left. So for sure enough cream to do the hat. It was borderline on whether or not I'd have enough of this Spincycle for Matilda's hat. Basically, I took notes here. So I used 34.2 grams of cream. So since I started with 100 grams, I mean, I've got 66 grams left. Like plenty. I can make two more hats. Really, I could get almost 3 hats out of this that cream yarn. So that's incredible. The Spincycle, I started off with 69 grams, and so I used 37.5 grams. So that meant I only had 31.8 grams left of the Spincycle, which means I had less yarn left than what I used. So I couldn't knit another adult hat. Since the difference is only about 6 grams, I'm hoping that I can make enough for Matilda, make a hat for Matilda, and then I'm hoping I'll have enough to do a braid on each of our hats. I may not have enough to do a braid for each of our hats. So if that happens, I will either do a braid out of the cream or a little tiny pom-pom out of the cream because I know I have enough of that. So before I attached any extra accessories to the adult one, I wanted to do Matilda's. I just started it yesterday at swim practice. So that's fun. And I do think it's fun that they'll be matching, but like a little bit different because like the darker part here is starting on, like the part that's dark at the top of mine is going to be the bottom of hers. Yeah, you can see it's much smaller. I'm wondering, really thinking I should knit the child size hat for myself. I actually in the Musselburgh knit the child size hat for myself, so I'm thinking maybe I should have done that. Well, live and learn. Okay, like apparently I need to make 2 Caitlin Hunter hats that are just too big for myself. Yeah, there's not a lot of sizes in the Caitlin Hunter hat patterns, I would say, which is surprising. So it's like very hat inclusive. Okay, so I'm working on a hat and I'm also working on a sweater very slowly. Let me go grab it. Yes, I am still working on the heirloom quilt cardigan. The designer of this actually put out a testing call for a vest, and I was so tempted to apply for it because I have mini skeins that I would like to knit into that vest, and I would like to knit that vest, but I'm like, I need to stay focused on this treasure here, and then when that pattern comes out, I can buy it and knit it. So, as I mentioned, This is the heirloom quilt cardigan. I've been working on this. That's my dog, Mabel. I've been working on this forever. And that, you know, the name heirloom quilt is just really apropos because it looks like a quilt, and this is also going to be such an heirloom piece. The amount of time and love that's been poured into it is just incredible. So I've used an Advent maybe 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, so not 3 Decembers ago. So December 2023, I opened the Chelsea Yarns Advent that was New York themed, and I started making the rectangles. And over the year, I knit 27 rectangles using like a mini skein I would hold it double because it was fingering weight, and the mini skein would do 1 inside star and 1 background of a star. I then, in 2024, had this on my work in progress make 9 board, and I sewed them all together and then put it aside for a bit. Then December 2024, I knit this bottom kind of ribbing out of the main skein. There was a main skein that came. And now I am living yarn chicken, friends. So here's what I did. I picked up in January through February, I don't remember when, sometime, I picked up and knit the ribbing and what will be the front part of the sweater. And I am now binding off. And I'm doing an Italian sewn bind off, which is why it's been slow, because just the yarn was getting knotted and things like this. But like right now, it's just a mess here when I brought it over. I have used every last bit of this yarn. Like all that's left is this, which is what I'm leaving in the yarn with. I have been playing such yarn chicken. There's a part of me that wonders if I should just do the Italian bind off single stranded to make sure that I have enough. So I just might continue on for a little bit and then see, because what I'm scared of is like, what if I get all the way here and like run out? Because I've literally used all of it up on the ribbing. So that's something just to share. Like if you are thinking about making this, a full 100 gram skein, I used it all up. I used it a couple times for some stars and background. I think just twice. Yeah, you just used it twice. So it's 1 star, 1 background. And then I saved I wanted it to be part of the coat or jacket or cardigan. It's going to be like a jacket for me. I wanted it to be part of the cardigan, but I also didn't want to use up all the yarn. So I just did 1 inner and 1 outer. And then I have used it for the ribbing, and I used up the entire skein. And once I persevere through binding this off, I just have 2 sleeves left, which are just stockinette, and then a much smaller circumference to do Italian bind off on the sleeves. Now, I know people have mixed feelings, like, why are you doing a bind off that takes so long? Or it doesn't matter. I'll hear these things when I watch YouTube. People will say, like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I do care, and so that's why. For me, I've just worked on this for years now, and it's an heirloom piece. And so for me, I'm like, it's important to do the finest details on it so that it's a treasure for myself. And maybe if I hand it down to Matilda, maybe it'll be for me for a bit and I'll give it to Matilda. But it's just such a special piece that like there's a part of me that's like, why would I not? Why would I not? Okay. Now the other work in progress kind of situation is about one of my designs in test knitting. So in December, I did a call for these friend check socks, and then I never conducted the test knit. It's just, I'll talk about it in personal life, but I'm ready to do it again. I'm ready to see this through and make it happen. But I don't know if the people that applied are still interested or not anymore. So I'm just going to open the application up. If you have already applied to test knit, I have your information. I will be emailing you soon. But if you missed the test knit and now you're potentially curious to make these, it's fingering weight. I used non-superwash wool. You can use whatever fingering weight wool you want for socks. So if you want to use the superwash, that's totally fine. But I used the La Bien Amie yarn that was a collaboration with Modine. And yeah, so that is linked below. Please apply and please forgive me for the hiatus, but I'm back. I'm back and I'm ready to be part of the knitting community again. So that is what I've been working on. And I do have some dream knitting, and this dream knitting is not just dream knitting. It's going to become a reality, and I'll share about that next. I'm going to share my dream knitting that's going to become reality maybe soon. So I was on Instagram, and there's like a For You page where things are like promoted. And I saw this very cute reel of 3 young women wearing knitted dresses, and they matched, and they were different colors, but it was the same dress. And then I realized from this reel that the young woman wearing the dresses, one of them was the designer, and I think she's from Germany, and I'm just obsessed with this dress. It's called the Cranberry Knit Dress, and I'll make sure that I'm putting her Instagram handle here on the screen so you can go follow her. I love it. I love it so much. It says the Cranberry Knit Dress is a simple stockinette stitch dress featuring a V-neck cut front and back in a 60s inspired A silhouette. You can choose from 3 A shapes and 2 different V-neck depths to create a version that feels right for you and your body shape. So basically, she has you do 2 measurements, both for your bust and also your hip. And the bust has 2 options, like a higher up V and a lower V. And then the second part of the pattern has like degrees, like 6 degree, 8 degree, 12 degree, like, which is like the increase for your hips. And so obviously, like, we're just all so different. And so some of us have really tiny tops and wider hips, or big tops and smaller hips, or both are curvy. And so this allows you flexibility in design, like in knitting the dress. And so I just thought that was just so amazing. I wish I didn't realize that until I purchased the pattern, but anyway, I'm just thrilled about it. And I shared it on my Instagram, and over Christmas break, I taught Matilda's friend, so a 2nd grader, and her mom how to knit. And her mom is this very enthusiastic new knitter. She was knitting like hearts for Valentine's Day. She's knit headbands, and she messaged me that she wants to do it. And I was like, I don't know if this is a beginner-friendly pattern. I was like, let me buy it and read it. Well, it says knitting level beginner. I mean, obviously there's going to be swatching. There's going to be increases, decreases, but I know she can do it. And I'm like, I can do this with her. So I do think that this is good for an adventurous beginner. So I think me and this mom, Matilda's friend's mom, my friend, I think we're going to make this. I'm going to start it before her. So yeah. So anyway, I would like to use yarn that I have. I know, crazy, right? Like, not buying new yarn. So I actually messaged the designer, and I was like, could I use superwash or non-superwash wool? What did you use? And she said she used non-superwash wool because that's mostly what she uses. And she also thinks that's a good choice in terms of like a dress stretching and stuff. And so a few years back, around Christmas time, when I was visiting my in-laws. They have a yarn store next to them. And I purchased yarn there. It's called Wall of Yarn. And they have lots of superwash and non-superwash wool. And they have an insane amount of Rama yarn. But I remember just being taken aback by this yarn and purchasing it. So it's like black, but it also has these fun little colors in it. And I have the perfect amount of yarn. Like the biggest size on this pattern takes 500 grams of yarn. And I have 500 grams of yarn. I don't know what size I am, but I'm just the biggest size on there takes 500. So I have enough is what I'm trying to say. And I just think that this will be so fun. And I kind of want to swatch for this weekend. I have a kind of fun girls trip this weekend. I'll share about that in the personal section. And I'm going to have some like alone time to do some things. And I was thinking maybe swatching for this and maybe casting this on might be a fun endeavor. We'll see. Or I'll finish Matilda's hat. I don't know. But I just love this yarn, and I just think it would be the perfect dress because I could just put whatever I wanted underneath it and make it a little bit more funky or less. And so anyway, soon to come. I was thinking what would be fun about casting on this dress now is like the pressure's gone. Like I'm not trying to knit it to wear this summer. I'm not going to be wearing a wool dress this summer, but it could be something to work on this summer to have done for the fall. Oh, so this yarn, let me tell you about it. It is called from Studio Donegal. It's soft Donegal, and it is from Kilgar Company Donegal in Ireland, and it's just 100% merino wool, not superwash. So anyway, that's just the best dream on knitting. I don't know if I can top a dress. I did recently see a reel, and I think I saved it, so maybe I can share it in my next episode, where I think it's an Italian designer, and I can't remember her name, but she designed a really beautiful cardigan and then is designing a skirt to match it. So it was like a matching set. And she also did a reel with her friends where her and her friends were wearing this like cardigan and skirt situation. And I was just like, I need this. So if this knitted dress goes well, maybe I could knit like a whole little matching set. I think that would be so cool. Since I've knit 0 garments in 2026 and I love garments, and I just like, I'm like, you know, trying to keep it humble here about what I can accomplish in 2026. But yeah, so what are my goals for moving forward? I would like to finish Matilda's hat, finish the bind off on my heirloom quilt cardigan, and then swatch for this dress. If you are interested in knitting this dress with me and my friend, let me know. All right, I think we're ready to head to the personal section. We are to the personal part of the episode. So from this point forward, it's just personal things, no more knitting. I share about my reading, where I've been at for the past 2 months, and what I've been up to. So if you're here for that, thanks for being here. All right, let's get to the reading. So there's a lot of really hard, awful things going on in the world right now. And I think one of the ways I cope with that is by reading like cheesy romance. So I began the year with reading The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. Essentially, I ended up with like 5 Christmas romance novels and 5 full skeins of yarn through a holiday countdown from Emily and Fangirl Fibers. Now I have so many Christmas romance novels and I love them. That's a genre, Christmas romance novels, and I love it. And so I kind of want to read another one now, even though it's like almost Easter. But so anyway, I read that, loved it. And just both of the characters in that book are very lovable. I loved both of them. And yeah, so it was kind of based on this like fixer-upper HGTV kind of situation. And yeah, it was so good. Okay. The next romance book I read, I got from the library, and it's an author I love, Abby Jimenez. I love pretty much everything she writes, and so I read the book Friend Zone, and I think my only like critique of it is I was getting frustrated with the two characters and their communication, which is sort of like a typical trope of a romance novel where you're just like, why don't you communicate? And you wouldn't have any of these troubles. All right, I've gotten into a series that's a romance series that's set in Dream Harbor. So before 2026, so in December of 2025, I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. And then the Pumpkin Spice Cafe is what I read. And I've just, in January or February, who knows when, I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. So the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I owned that book. I read that, and I have it as a really cute copy. Maybe I was going to grab it to show you, but like with the sprayed edging, so cute. And then my husband got me the third book, which is The Christmas Tree Farm with the cute sprayed edging. The second book, which is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, I don't think is out at that cute spray edging, from what I understand. I think it doesn't come out till around my birthday time. So that's like what I want for my birthday present. So I did check this out from the library because I think you can read the books out of order, but there might be like an Easter egg that maybe kind of ruins something, but not really because it's cheesy romance. But there's something about this series that I really love. I think what it is I love a Hallmark movie. So it's kind of like a Hallmark movie, or the setting feels very Hallmark, very Gilmore Girls, the setting, but it's not because it's spicy romance. And so anyway, I love this series. I cannot wait to read the third one, which is also a Christmas book, The Christmas Tree Farm. And I'm the only reason why I haven't started the third book, this is the only reason why I haven't started the third book, is that it was a Christmas present from my husband, Kyle. We'd give each other a book on Christmas Eve, and that's what he gave me. And I'm like, this book is going to be, I know I'm going to love it. So it's like, do I want to read it now when it's not Christmas time, or do I want to save it for like November? So because I was in this, like, I don't know if I want to read that third book or not. I feel like I need to, just because I just love this series. Anyway, so then I was like feeling kind of like, who am I? I'm just reading cheesy romance. Seriously, like I just mentioned 3 cheesy romance novels. So I was like, I need to read something with a little bit more substance. So I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't want to say I've read everything from her because I haven't Googled it to see like if I have read everything from her. But I can say I have read like all the books that kind of like live in the same world, like Malibu Rising, 7 Wives of Evelyn Hugo, Carrie Soto. I've read all of those. Daisy Jones and the Six. And I'm sure she's written more than that, so I haven't read all of hers, but I've read all those in that world. And so The Atmosphere is a newer book from her, so I knew I wanted to read it, and I was a little bit bored reading it. But I was surprised by that because she's like one of my favorite authors, and it's, you know, my favorite author, space, women in STEM. All the stars should align for it to be like one of my favorite books, but it just wasn't for me. I was a little bit bored. But one of my friends, I was telling her that I was like a little bit bored reading it, and she was like flabbergasted by me because it's such a good book, I guess. So anyway, so that's what I've read so far in 2026, and now I'm going to show you the book I'm reading from the library, and it's due on Friday, and I'm not done here. Okay, this book, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Have you read it? Let me know. I think this might be the best book of 2026, and it's only the beginning of March, and I'm saying this. This is a series, and it is so good. Now, I follow somebody on Instagram who just posted that they finished reading it. They didn't like it. They gave it 3 out of 5, so, you know, we all have different opinions. But here's what I love about it. It's very macabre. It's gross. But it's science fiction meets fantasy. It's action-packed, go, go, go. It's definitely brought me out of my reading funk from all the romance novels I was reading. I mean, I love reading romance, but I think it's like a palate cleanser for me where I like to read something a little more complex, romance novel, a little bit more complex romance novel. But I had just been like romance noveling. Even though I only said 3 here, like I was coming out of a season from November, December, where also I was just reading romance novels. So it was nice to kind of get back to the reading I like to do. Another mom, so I was telling a mom about it at like this school event. Our children were playing and I was just saying, I started reading this book, it's so good. And so then there's this mom group and we get together and play Rummy Cube sometimes. It's like one of my favorite games. And we were playing it at a bookstore cafe, because it was half a bookstore, half a cafe. And she ended up buying it and she's already finished it. So I'm a slow reader. And anyway, so she said that if I have to return my library book that I could, she just texted me this morning that she finished it so that I could borrow her book and finish it. And I am nervous about the whole library situation because these books in the series get to be really thick and I do love using the library, but also some of these books are really thick and I need more time. Though I called the library yesterday to ask if I could renew it. And they were like, no, but we don't do late fees. And I think they were like, they said it like 2 or 3 times, like, I guess trying to like, so I could read in between the lines of like, just keep the book until you're done. And so finally I was like, so does that mean I can return it on Monday? Because I think I could have this done by Monday. All right, so I didn't tell you about the book. So I will give you the first like couple pages here. So Carl, his girlfriend's kind of terrible. And she goes to the Caribbean with another man. And he's like with her cat, Princess Donut, who is a Persian show cat. And he doesn't like the cat, but he actually loves the cat. Like, he actually loves the cat, even though he pretends like I don't think he pretends. He's just like this is a love-hate relationship, I think. And so it's like 2 a.m. and he's smoking a cigarette. So he opens the window and then the cat jumps outside. So then he chases the cat outside. But, you know, he was in bed. It's 2 a.m. So he had his boxer shorts on. He puts on like pink Crocs from his girlfriend that had left them there and like a leather jacket. He goes outside to save the cat. And he's like trying to get the cat out of the tree. And at 2:43 a.m., anything with a roof collapsed into the ground. And anybody who was underneath the roof ends up dying. So like cars, umbrellas, buildings, and he dies. And so then these alien words like come across like his brain / you can hear them that are saying like basically Earth did not get into an alliance they were supposed to be. So they're mining Earth's resources. So he has a choice. He can stay on the Earth and that's a wasteland, barren, and try to survive. Or he could enter this dungeon crawler game. And it's very complex and you're getting to levels. I'm currently at level 2. And so I'm thinking all these books just take you through the various levels of dungeon crawler. I don't know. There has been some inserting of some other plot points too. I love it so much. Okay, so my book life is just glorious right now. I haven't been watching television or anything. I've been just going, as soon as I put Matilda to bed, going into bed and reading before I go to bed. So, okay, where have I been in the past 2 months? I've been busy working and busy mothering. So it's nothing bad. I just have been really busy. And it's interesting, for years, so I'm a professor, so for years, and quite literally a decade, I've been doing research on children's thinking about negative number, and I would like just work very hard I would apply for these grants and things, and they would go unfunded to do more research or these big projects. And what happened this year is I ended up getting 2 funded projects. So I have 2 grant funded projects, and they're some of the coolest things I've ever done in my life and have been years in the making, like praying for, working hard for, all these things. And I'm like living this dream. So it's this interesting phenomenon in my life right now where I'm like living my dream, this thing I've dreamt about forever, and also being the busiest I've ever been So one of my projects is about teaching unsolved math problems to middle schoolers and high schoolers. So I've been like creating curriculum and actually teaching middle schoolers and high schoolers about unsolved problems in math. So yeah, not all math problems have been solved. And so that's like kind of a cool thing, is to take this thing that has only been like accessible to mathematicians and making it accessible to children and young people. And that's been going on since August, and it's coming to a conclusion here soon. My students are doing some final projects and things, but it's just been so fun. And then my second project is related to my research of like a decade and more, which is around negative number. And I am designing games, like card games and board games, that introduce negative numbers earlier to students. So like second, third, fourth graders. And so I'm actually like designing games. And that has been even more cool than I could imagine. Like I remember wanting to do it and proposing to do this work and envisioning it, but actually like living it and in the thick of designing with a big team. Like I have a team I'm working with, and it's just really cool. And I'm learning so much. Like I have been prototyping plastic pieces even. So like learning how to 3D print and things like this. So anyway, so I've been working. I'm also writing a book right now. I wrote a book last year. My book came out last year. It was like a long process. It took about 2 years. But I'm writing another book too on mathematical myths. So things that we think are true in math, but really aren't true. And they are a barrier to student success. So, okay, I'll stop talking about work. But I'm like, my career is in a spot where it's like that's just been taking so much out of me. And then I'm still a mother. I'm a mom to an 8-year-old who is really cool and is just doing like really amazing things right now. And I want to be there for my job, and I want to be there for her too. And then there hasn't been a lot of time left for me. And I do want to do self-care. I consider like this YouTube channel and my knitting to be a part of my self-care. But I also recognize that there's seasons. And so I just needed, it was a busy season. January, February is just bonkers as a mother with Matilda, because Matilda's a swimmer. And so it was short course season, and there's just lots of swim meets in December and January. So I was just really busy with that on the weekends. And she also qualified for the state championships. And so that was just 2 weeks ago. And that, was out of town traveling. So we're just traveling for swim meets, state championships. And in addition to being a swimmer, she's also a competitive dancer. She's on dance company. And that season begins January. So when her swim season was like in the thick of things, was also when the dance season started. And so I don't know how we've balanced it all, but we're doing it. And so, so she started doing dance competitions in January. And then, so 2 weekends ago, we were in Eugene, Oregon for the state championship. And then last weekend, we were in Vancouver, Washington for a dance competition. And she's having so much fun, and it's really cool to see her making friends, having fun, working hard, setting goals, and it's fun to be there for all that. So yeah, I've been holding like this busy social calendar of Matilda in this hand and my work life in here, and there just hasn't been a lot of time for myself. And when there was time for myself, I found myself wanting to like do a workout class or go for a walk or something like that instead of recording. So that's where I've been, but I feel like I'm in a space now where I'm back, because short course season swimming has ended. Her dance competition stuff is still going on, but believe it or not, compared to swimming, it seems so much more chill. So she's got she has had 2 dance competitions under her belt this season. I think she only has like 3 more left, and it goes until the spring or early summer. So it feels just like I have time now. And I knew that I would be feeling this way, that I would be feeling like maybe a little burnt out from everything this time of year. So this weekend I'm doing a beach trip, but I was thinking about the fact that like I haven't spent the night at home in my own house on a weekend in several weeks. I've been staying somewhere else every weekend instead of my own house, but nonetheless, I'm going to do a beach trip to Lincoln City, and I have another swim mom friend and my neighbor, and we're going to go have what we're calling a granny weekend. So we're going without children. We're going to do grandma hobbies. So we're going to do puzzles, crosswords, word searches, walks on the beach, maybe some yarn crafts, maybe not, coloring, just grandma hobbies without children together. And so we're calling it Granny Weekend. And yeah, now of course, in typical like Nicole crazy fashion, like I'm hoping I can go to it. So Kyle's in Japan right now for work. This is actually his 4th time this year in the calendar year going to Japan. So the plan is to have this crossover on Friday where he will land back in the United States at 12:30, come home, and then I will leave for my grandma weekend at 2:30 p.m. Will this happen? Not if his flight's delayed. So if his flight's delayed, there's going to be a hiccup in my plan. If his flight's not delayed, I'm going on the granny weekend. I'm not bothered by it. If my weekend's delayed or doesn't happen, that's fine. I will just be happy to be back at home with Kyle and Matilda. But if I can go my weekend, that would be really epic because I've made baskets and prepared. I've got my yarn, I've got my knitting. So that is what is going on. And I'm really glad to be back here. And if you've made it to the end here, I just thank you. My life is richer because of the friendships that I make online, both on Instagram and here on YouTube. So if you're watching this, I consider you to be one of those friendships. And I just am really thankful for the knitting community and and the friendships here. So make sure to say hi to me and welcome me back. I've missed you. I am not going to be, it won't be another 2 months. Ideally 2 or 3 weeks, but it will not be another 2 months because I am truly back and I'm already feeling refreshed just knowing those things are done. So even though I'm single parenting now, I can just tell that I'm more refreshed because I made time to do this in a week that I normally would have not made time. Thanks for being here and happy knitting.